order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You take roll, Mary?
Murray?
Here.
Getzinger?
Here.
Joe?
Here.
Patrick?
Yep.
Swanky here.
Set and amend the agenda.
I would like to add 9D, an estimate for the pocket park from Dahlia's to clean up and to install mulch.
Are the tiles ready for sealing again, or
Yes,
is that going to be part of it?
that's not going to be part of it this
Okay.
time. No. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. Oh.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have an agenda to work from. Public comments? Consent agenda. Consent agenda?
Any questions? I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any correspondence or information?
I have-
I do have one.
Okay.
Hold on, I gotta find it. You have anything? Or-
No.
Okay. So I just have an update on the trust and agency account that has been on the auditor's report for the last 4 years or so. Chris Martin, our building department administrator, and my deputy, has devoted many hours and weeks and months in between other duties with boxes of documents to bring the trust and agency account into balance to the general ledger account, which has not been done for many, many years. We have been reported to the state of Michigan for the last 4 years. This year would have been 5 if it hadn't been resolved in our annual audit. This has been a problem long before the transition from QuickBooks to BS&A in 2017. There were multiple errors and mistakes in the building department records. Checks had to be reimbursed to people who were owed money, some from years ago. Money had to be transferred to the general account for funds that were forfeited. Accounts were open that were closed. Accounts were closed that were open. Money was shown as received for permits that were never issued. Money was shown as reimbursed to people, but checks were never cut. Payments were made on behalf of developers to our engineers and others without the money being collected from the developer, bringing them negative, and many more obstacles were found and many mistakes were made. As of the bank statement date of June 30th, 2023, the trust and agency bank account is now in balance with the general ledger amount. Chris narrowed down 2 amounts that had to be written off and went over them with the auditor when they were present for our audit. One was for $2,718.03. One was for $4,958.75. These were amounts paid on behalf of developers that we did not collect the money for, so unfortunately, it is our loss. The reason for these write-offs is they are too old to pursue and go back to 2006 through 2008. This brought the reconciliation to $109.78 out of balance with each other, which is adjusted to unreconcilable differences. And as of today, this bank account and the general ledger are finally in balance. So thank you, Chris, for putting all the time and effort and getting this going in the right direction and moving forward. This was an absolutely huge undertaking. So thank you.
Does a good job. Can I comment on that, though? Okay, so that had been written up for several years. There was one person that was over the last building department secretary, and that was the supervisor. That had been brought up year after year after year, and she didn't want to do it, so she didn't do it. So, but again, that is why I would like to see those offices divided for a building department secretary a planning and zoning department secretary, and then Chris can go back and be on deputy treasurer. I think that that would be best for the entire township. It's too much control for one person to be over that. I think it would be better for everybody if those offices were divided up. That's my comment, thank you, but good job,
Yeah,
Chris.
thank you, Chris.
No more correspondence?
No.
And there's no unfinished business. We'll get to the new business, Chief's 2-year contract extension.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion
Oh, I've got one
not
too.
to extend the fire chief contract, employment contract.
I will support.
Is there discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, yeah, what do you,
Yeah.
would you like to start that, since you made the motion?
Yeah, no, we've had, currently total, compensation is $87,658. That's all things included at $35.10 an hour. And the request is to move them to $116,933.80 at $45.68 an hour. Over the past, I wanna say, 6 years, the fire chief's wages have increased 19% over 6 years. And now we're going to a 30% increase all of a sudden. So,
So the documentation I have says, the request is for 95,000 and current is 73,000. So are you including benefits in that figure that you
yeah,
have?
that's right. That's the whole, if you take a look at the, current year, that's 73,000 plus the 10% compensation for retirement, plus the, clothing allowance, vacation days, whatnot. It's $87,658. If you take the 73,000 divided by 52 weeks at 40, you get $35.10 an hour. The request is for 95,000. That's $45.68 an hour, and with the 10% obligation. Plus, there's a request for the vehicle to be used not just for township business, but for personal business, which could be anywhere from $375 to $1,000 in value. Without,
But that's nothing new for any other
compa-
full-time fire chiefs. I mean, is that a
comparable-
huge issue?
Sorry, the comparable table and the information you guys provided, are those the figures that are listed? In this case, Bruce Township is 108. You had given a few examples, your own, both John and Sarah. Are those including benefits costs, or are
No.
those just wage?
Those are
costs?
salaries. Those are just salaries.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that.
okay.
So we're comparing apples to oranges, first of all.
Right.
We got all of this in my box, look at this, last night. Picked it up last night from Mr. Paderak, Supervisor Paderak, an email from the treasurer. I have to go over this. So Sarah, did you at all talk to the fire chief? At all? Did you talk
Our
to him
fire
and
chief?
ask him about any of the stuff that you have in this email?
You mean during, oh, okay,
In this email?
during this process?
Not during this process, throughout the last year or two, yes.
Okay, because I'm fairly new on here, and I've got holes all over this. First of all, you are comparing Richmond Fire Chief's salary at 62,000, New Haven at 70 to 80, Ray Township at 70 to 80. None of them have ALS.
Does
They
Richmond
are
have a
fire
fire chief?
department only.
I understand that.
We have, you don't have on here that our fire chief
Richmond
is
Township
also
doesn't
a
have fire department.
licensed paramedic.
She says Richmond Township.
With
Richmond City does
ALS,
not
with
have a wage
ALS,
like that,
that the
not accurate.
taxpayers voted on, well before we were ready for full-time ALS. This was a board looking for their legacy. When that happened, we have to have 24/7, 365 coverage.
I understand
That is not counted on here. You've got in here about the EFO. Do you know what the kind of training that would take to do that? That would pull him away
I
from
do know the
going
kind
and
of
getting that?
training. I do
So
know
what,
the kind
so
of
what would
training.
that take? What would that take?
Actually, the training's out in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken.
It is out in Maryland,
Yep.
and he would have to be gone. How long would you have to go for, chief? It's a two-year program. 12 weeks out of the year isn't it a week at a time? looking it up. So now you're gonna take a paramedic, our fire chief, away from our community for 2 years for 1 week at a time. That wage that he is asking for, had he gotten just the same cost of living, which you talk about in here, because he's not entitled to it, because he's not contracted, he would already be at $89,000, just with that. So basically, he's not asking for much of a wage increase at all in this. I personally have seen him, I know for a fact. I'm out in my yard, working on my flower beds, and all of a sudden I see sirens, there goes the fire truck, and like a few minutes later, there goes the fire chief by on a Saturday, beautiful Saturday afternoon. Another Saturday, nasty out, frigid cold, rainy. A family member was in an accident, a 2-car accident on a Saturday afternoon. They don't do it early in the morning, they do it in the middle of the afternoon. You know how that happens. But thank God that the fire department was out there along with all of the paramedics, including the fire chief. You make it sound like he's just getting all this time off. He is working more hours than most of the board combined. How many, you were just talking before the meeting, they're gonna go on vacation again. How many vacations have you had in the last year? I understand elected officials don't ever, you're rarely here. Elected officials don't ever have to show up. We just have to show up, make sure our work is done, your statutory duties are done, and we can go. Based on the number of hours that this board works, you guys are all making a heck of a lot more money than that fire chief. That's all I have to say, but I will go on. Do you want to say something, Jim, or?
I do.
I do want to say something,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Jim, but the 20 vacation days really is not that much. There are 10 government days that the township is closed. Most of the time, he's working on those days. Most of the time. You gave Chris Martin a day off. No PTA was required at all. You just decided out of the goodness of your heart, on taxpayers' dollars, that you would give her the day off last Monday. I mean, the discrepancy, the nickel and diming here, and it's not nickel and diming. This fire chief has brought respect back to that department that was severely, severely lacking. It's professional, it's covered fully. That has not happened in a very long time.
And also the fire chief, he does his payroll. Most full-time fire departments have a secretary. He does his payroll, he does the bills, and in a timely manner. I mean,
And
that's
the last-
extra. He shouldn't really even have to do that.
Now, the last fire chief wanted a secretary.
Yes.
And wanted a $75,000 vehicle to use.
Right. Oh,
He got a
Exactly.
40,000. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. And Sarah, how much in interest are we paying on the ambulance that he wanted to pay off because the money is there? The people passed a millage, the money is available. It's around 17,000. Jim brought this up when that was approved, and you go, no, we're gonna go out for a loan. We gotta do it the loan ways. There's the money that he needs for this increase, so.
The money is there. There's also a lot of other things that take precedence, and we can pay the loan off early with no penalties.
Good, then there's the money for the increase.
I
No,
get that
it's
there's strong opinions here, but how did this process work? Did you both meet together with the chief?
Yeah, John and I met with the
Yeah.
chief June 21st.
And then out of this, the
And-
chief provided
Yeah, he
just
provided
his
the information
request.
that I gave you.
Was there any discussion at that point?
Well, just that we were gonna forward everything to you,
Okay, so the
the board
intention
members.
was-
If they had any questions, he should contact John.
So the intention really was meet with the chief,
Mhm.
allow him to present what
See what he was
his request
presenting,
is,
right.
and it comes to us tonight to discuss that request.
Correct.
And either we agree or potentially it's modified and go back and ask if that's acceptable to the chief, and then it comes back to the board again.
Well, this
Correct?
should have been done months
I'm
ago.
just asking.
This
Yeah,
should have been done months ago.
Well, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Yeah.
And again, I understand there's strong opinions. I think it's important to be kind of constructive here. I personally really like the chief. I think he's doing
Absolutely.
a good job. I do think his guys like him. It seems
They
like
do.
they respect him. I haven't heard anything, I have asked, but I haven't heard anything negative. He seems to be a good fit for our community, at least in my opinion of what our community is and should be. I believe he understands that. I think that's important. I know there's history in the past with others, did not go well. I think this has been very, I'll say, smooth. Again, proves that it's a good fit in my opinion. I think that there was a lot of information provided, some sooner than others, but it's really hard to compare a department, any community, any position, really. It's hard to compare. And the chief is certainly no exception. Every community runs things different, has different staff. The comparables that the chief provided, I would say that they're generally for communities that either have larger tax base, but it's hard to find in Armada. Armada is, I'll say, a small community with a full-time department. So typically a small community has a volunteer department and potentially a chief, right, which we, as I pointed out, there's maybe a full-time chief running with some volunteers, or it's a larger community that has full-time staff, has a lot more responsibility. And the larger communities tend to have, again, more administrative, say, staff, secretaries, stuff like that. That's my opinion. And it is sitting here and working for a community, I can see both sides. It's hard to balance what can a community afford with what is comparable, to the best of your ability. How do you compare that position? What does everybody else pay? And obviously there's a list here, like we'd said. I think if the chief was here, well, for one, when the chief started, he wasn't a chief somewhere else, so he was new in that position. It's very hard to leverage your experience when you don't have any. So to say, I know that it had come up in something, to say that it was okay 3 years ago, why isn't that pay okay now? Well, there's certainly some experience now. On the flip side, I think if the chief was looking to go somewhere for, if it was solely money, I think that, one, he would ask for more based on the comparables he provided, or two, he would have applied somewhere else, so he's here, he's got a house here, I believe he wants to stay here, at least for now. He's certainly retired from another community, and it's not a 30-year gig, but for the time, consistency is good. I think looking at the comparables both on the high and the low side, I would say that what he's asking for, in my opinion, appears to be in the middle. The clerk provided wages. His officers, of course, they get overtime. They are making more than what he's requesting. That's
Yes, they
something to
should.
consider.
As they should,
well,
he is
They're-
over.
Just let her say that. As far as
Slap.
just quickly going through what he's requesting, again, I think that I'll admit to being very thrifty, a Scrooge, when it comes to raises. It is hard to spend a lot of money. I agree that I tend to be that way, but looking at this fairly, I would say $95,000 is a lot of money, but if you look at other communities and where we're at, I would say it's fair to, generous is probably a bad word, but the chief doesn't seem to be asking for more than what would be appropriate for our community on that lot. As far as raises, I think that's a common practice would be if there's a union, it's at my workplace as well, actually. The non-union staff tends to match the raises that are negotiated through the union, so I don't find that to be out of line to request that. That doesn't mean it has to be approved by the board, but I don't find that an out-of-line request. Clothing allowance is $200 more a year. That is, again, it's consistent with the guys. He clearly needs to buy uniforms. This doesn't include their actual fire gear, so what's the difference between what the chief has to buy compared to the guys? As far as he's wearing dress uniform, they're buying T-shirts and stuff with it. I would find it somewhat hard to argue the difference, where there would be less, justify less. As far as the vehicle, given the nature of his job, I don't see it a big jump up. Now, certainly he's able to drive it home to respond to calls. If you think about it, it is within a certain radius, so he's not driving it to Florida. But, you know, if he's out and about, how does that, that seems like that would benefit the department if, using good judgment, if he's going to Vinkier's, that has the vehicle versus saying, I'm gonna go home first, or I'm at home, and I'm gonna go up to Vinkier's, there's a call, I gotta drive home now to get the fire vehicle to drive to a call, you know, so as from an expense, I think as long as it's being prudent, I don't consider that to be even that much of an expense. And from the information provided, I would say that appears to be, I see vehicles drive by all the time, fire vehicles, other communities, you know, so I don't think that's, again, inconsistent with other communities. And I know we're all saying Armada is, you know, not that big, and so that's always kind of the sticking point. I'm guessing that's kind of where the sticking point comes in on a lot of this. But again, it's hard to, I'll say, negotiate when you have all these other communities where if you want to retain staff. We ran into this with the guys themselves, not the chief, where we're really talking a lot about how are we going to keep guys, we need to pay them more, we need to do all this. That was tough for me to swallow, because that's a lot of money that we spend it for the fire department as a whole. That's hard. But as a community, I think we've decided, and Monica said this, decided that this is the level of service we want. And so if that's what the community wants, then me as a board member feel that we need to support that direction, and we need to be willing to pay for that. There is a millage in place. As long as the millage can support those expenses and they're needed for the department, you know, we need to support that direction. Unless we're saying we don't want to go that direction, we want to not be a full-time department, or, you know, we want to step back our level of service, then we can, that's another discussion. But I think based on where I think the community wants to go, based on how they voted on the millage, I feel like this is the best place we can be in, is to try to retain this chief.
Great, well said, Jim. John made a motion and Sarah seconded not to extend the chief's contract. Job?
No.
Sawaki, no. Murray?
Yes.
Peter?
Yep.
Getzinger?
No.
And I'm gonna make a motion to increase Chief Karachi's current wage from $73,000 to $95,000 effective August 1st, 2023, with yearly raise based on the same percentage as Local 5053. Clothing allowance increased from $550 to $750. Use of fire department vehicle, add to current contract. Employer shall provide employee with a township-owned vehicle, which shall be available to employee for both on-duty and off-duty use, provided that off-duty use is limited to an area no greater than 25 miles from the township boundary. Vacation days shall be 20. The contract shall be a 2-year extension, August 1st, 2023 to August 1st, 2025. All remaining employment agreements shall remain the same, and to have attorney prepare a modification agreement to current contract with changes as presented.
I will second that.
Again, I want to avoid kind of digging into kind of some personal comments that were in here, but I was surprised, I'm surprised, I guess, that the supervisor and the treasurer, I haven't heard any concerns or anything in the last couple of years, so to see it presented this way now, I was a little bit caught off guard. I don't know if you're interested in kind of sharing your not specific concerns as far as I'll say performance, but other than, is it just the wage? I mean, what were you hoping to see out as far as a contract? If you don't mind me asking.
The chief and I had a frank private conversation, and that's things that we aren't necessarily going to put out in
So
public. It's not necessary.
You don't have a specific wage that you were hoping of? I guess that's what I was
Well,
getting at,
the
not
wage-
like
the wage was
performance.
part of it.
Okay.
So, you know, we had our conversations, and I had decisions to make based on the due diligence I did, and no part of it was easy, but
Gotcha.
it was done, and goes the way the board wants. I mean, this is what
Oh,
voting's all about.
I get that. I'm
Yeah.
just, I
My
think it's
concerns
important.
are that, I have concerns about the budget. I always do. There's no room in the fire department budget for this. We had talked about, as far as yearly wages, in line with the union, clothing allowance, the same as union. In my opinion, and dealing with unions in the past and private, you don't, if you're not a union member, you're not, you don't get to enjoy the benefits of union.
But that's a separate contract.
Advantages.
He's got a separate contract.
And regardless, he's referencing that he wants everything the same as what the union gets. So right there, he brought himself into that union. The 20 vacation days, we did just do the policy and procedure manual, and it does not fall within what we as a board determined to be the vacation schedule. So I have an issue with that. And then I have some other concerns that are mine alone.
And I didn't bring up the vacation days earlier, but the policy manual really separates.
It's for employees.
It separates if you're a
Contract.
contract employee, then it's per the contract, right? So it's a
It's-
little.
It's still an employee.
As far as the days, you know, again, 20 days does seem like a lot, but if you look at, from a fiscal standpoint, it really doesn't cost the township to have the chief on vacation. And on the, another thing to me would be, again, he's retired from a department. He's starting new here, but he has a lot of experience, so it's almost, it's like you're finally getting to that age where you can afford to go on vacation maybe, and it's really hard to, I could see where it'd be hard to not have any vacation time now. He's kind of working in his retirement and would like to be able to do that. So I think that,
It's a
again,
choice we
seems
all have to
consistent
make.
with other departments, and so I see, because it doesn't cost, I don't see that as a sticking point in my mind.
Again, the vacation days, the man works more. I have seen him working on the job more than I've ever seen any other fire chief on the weekends, on a major holiday. Who showed up? The fire chief. That just does not happen. Another fire chief would have just said, I'm gonna let the team do it,
I'll
not our fire chief. And
beg to
I
differ
think
with
that
you on that, but that's
is,
fine.
that is just, I mean, Armada is blessed. Armada is blessed to have somebody that actually moved his family out here, bought a house out here, and is willing to, I mean, he's raised up a department that is just, it's fabulous. And it's so good to see just the cohesiveness of this. I have not seen that in forever, and inviting the community in to take part in this. I have not seen this in a decade or more. So I'm very thankful, and I know the people that have had to use him, family included, are very, they just rave about our fire chief. So, I mean, that is just, we cannot afford not to have him. Can I ask you, Chief, how much money have you helped write with grants?
Armada Township Fire Department, with the assistance of Fire Marshal Canal, sorry, we're at $1.4 million. Further, we got $20,000 to the senior center for grant for the generator. Got
Oh, wow.
$1,000 from section 19.
You can't
Pays
afford
for it
not to have
itself.
this guy here. You can't afford it. Who's gonna do all that paperwork? Yeah,
I've been here for 3 years. Some of the things that are being talked about, don't even ask. I've never had the opportunity to speak to anything before. Union reference, I have two things in my contract that reference unions. It's consistent around. basically the bottom line is I'm brought here to let the need for it. If the supervisor can't support me, I don't have support tonight. It was all. I have no respect for the guy, no respect for the community. So a 3 vote doesn't mean my supervisor, my direct supervisor can't support that. I respect that, and it won. A lot of the things that, and I respect that we're not going to starve it where we are. I've never been actually asked to show somebody something, like to clarify. No one's come in the office and said, hey, what's this? It is what it is. I guess I'd just rather have the vote and not disrespect the fire department and just do it.
I'm asking you to please not do that.
I respect that, ma'am, but
Please,
I
please
lose
don't do
all
that.
respect for my
You know
department.
what? No,
need
you
you.
don't.
We need you
No, you
personally.
don't. You've got a
That
lot
is
of
more than me.
respect. You've got a lot of respect from your department. Don't do that. The community
We need
needs
you.
you.
But I give my wife my word.
We need you. We need you for 2 more years.
If I get
2 more
respect from
years.
the boss, I will, but
Oh, I know.
please just go ahead and vote and let's go from there.
Okay, I made the motion, Monica seconded it. Swank, yes, Murray?
No.
Job?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Patrick?
No.
He's gonna be leaving. He's gonna resign.
What does this mean?
He's going to resign. He will he just stated he's gonna resign without the support of the supervisor.
It's ridiculous. You know, you had
It's
an
petty.
idiot in there last time, and that's what you're gonna get again.
Mhm.
And it's gonna take you at least 6 months to find another fire chief.
And we've got the
What's
fair
gonna
coming
happen
up.
to that fire department in
Yep.
the
It's
meantime?
gonna fall apart.
You
It's gonna
guys
fall
are
apart.
idiots. Oh, yeah, somebody that'll destroy the department, just
Again.
like the last guy did.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
item B is
Yep.
striker, life pack CR2,
Yep.
defibrillations for senior center
Yep.
and township hall.
I'll make a motion to approve purchases of 2 defibrillators from Stryker in the amount of $5,490.66 as presented.
Is there
Support.
support?
Yes.
Forgive me, but do we not have defibrillators
We don't have
now?
any.
I didn't
Not
realize
there.
that, okay.
And
No.
I have a quick question.
And Chief will do
too.
training on these too.
Yeah, and so, and just to clarify, if I might be wrong, but because, yeah, for the senior, these are for the senior center and the township hall, so this does not come out of your budget, this
No.
comes out of the general
Yes,
budget,
That was our general
correct?
fund budget. One will be
Capital
out in
outlay.
the city, the township hall, one will be the senior center. We will have, well, there will be training on it. We have guys on staff that can do it. I think it'll be unbelievable for the community to have that safety guards in place.
Oh, I agree,
And those are sole source, so
right,
from Stryker is what it is.
Right.
But it's consistent with all the equipment the fire department uses, so it sounds terrible, it's we can plug and play.
no, people like me like plug and play,
Yes.
so,
We'll all be
but
certified.
I just wanted to clarify that it was a general fund.
Yes.
Okay, thank you,
Chief.
Swank, yes, Murray?
yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Job?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yep. Had the cemetery cleanup.
Yep, I got a hold of Bobby Dahlia, and to clean up the Haley Cemetery, the fallen tree debris will be $700. So I'll make a motion to approve Dahlia's estimate to clean up the fallen tree at Haley Cemetery is presented in the amount of $700.
Support.
I appreciate Monica bringing this up. Actually, I thought it was less work, so I was thinking it'd be easy to take care. I went out there and looked at it, and there's actually quite a bit there. And I don't know if
Yeah,
this
the
is just for the
pictures.
one branch that's down, or all the
They
trees
have a tree.
kinda
It's like
need to
they have
be-
a tree.
should be pruned
He's gonna clean up
up,
all the debris
which
and.
I'll be
yeah,
surprised if they, so it's just what's down, right? Not necessarily pruning the trees up.
no.
I mean,
I can ask Bobby
The
while he's
price
there,
is-
I mean, I don't
I
think
mean,
he'd have an
it's
issue.
high, it's like you really need to be I was thinking we need a quote from a tree trimmer, if we wanna have him clean this up first and.
Yeah, well, they are
It's
our
really-
landscaping people.
Yeah, and
they
it's
have-
really
Oh, we can
not
also
that,
get a hold
that
of,
high,
The tree guys?
actually.
What's that?
The tree guys?
Well, that Joey
Oh,
did.
Joey
Yeah.
Dahlia, okay.
No, he cleaned up one in the park for me, so it was
Okay.
broken
Joey
by
Daly
the
from the
road.
Tree Guys?
Yeah,
I think-
Joey
Yeah,
Daly.
I've had them at my house a few times.
So if you want, I can have Joey Daly take a look at it, if he wants to trim the trees as well.
Okay, all right.
Wait, so just, there's no confusion, Joey Dahlia is different from
Yes,
Dahlia's?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just have a question too, just because I don't recall, and it could be my memory, but is this not, I don't recall seeing an estimate for a cemetery cleanup recently, so.
No, this is what I got.
No, I know, but I
No,
mean.
no.
up
No,
in the
Dahlia's
list.
Landscape
Dahlia's
actually does
Landscape
a,
it-
they do a spring
they
and
do
a
a
fall
spring and fall
cleanup,
cleanup,
but
yeah.
not broken trees.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, that's what I thought, thank you.
yeah. Swack, yes. Murray?
Yes,
Patrick?
Yes,
Getzinger?
Yes.
Job?
Yes.
And then I also asked for, I want to be ready for the fair. The park, the pocket park looks really terrible. So I asked Bobby for a quote for mulch and for weeding, and I have a price of $14.75. So I'll make a motion to approve Dahlia's estimate for weeding the pocket park and installation of mulch in the amount of $14.75 as presented.
support.
Did that little pocket part right there?
Yeah, how much
Yeah.
mulch does that
I know,
include?
that's-
There-
That's a
We haven't
lot for
put
that
mulch
little
down in
park.
about 3 years, so,
Did you say that was gonna, that doesn't include the ceiling of the,
no, not the ceiling. I
The
didn't
what?
ask Bob that, no,
But most of this cost is for the mulch, I don't know.
mulch.
and putting it in
And,
place?
and weeding
Yeah,
and putting it in
purchase it
place,
and
your
put it in place,
employees, you know, so. But I just wanted it, I think we need to get it done before the fair. And it's been about 3 years since we've done this.
Support.
Swank, yes. Murray?
yes, yes.
Peter?
excuse me.
Yep.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Job?
Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Joe?
Yeah, tonight is a very disappointing. It just, like, I don't know what personal, it's very personal. You can just tell that we got that so late. This issue should have been brought up way back in January when we started our budget workshops. That it even went this long is just, shows a complete lack of leadership on your part.
Trustee Getzinger?
I agree, I just think this is ridiculous. There's no foresight here on where the fire department's gonna go, and I can understand the chief's position, which is that if he doesn't have full support, he's not interested. Maybe he will, maybe there's a way to mend bridges and we can fix that, but I'm suspicious of that. I am disappointed that just the timing, it's understanding you might not agree, but to just essentially blindside and all of us and most importantly the chief, I just think that's completely inappropriate.
Treasurer Murray?
I'm gonna take a different direction and, let everyone know you should have gotten your tax bills in the mail. And a lot of people have been coming in, paying them. I did have to hand deliver 3 tax bills that the post office returned to me for apparently no good reason, so I had no problem delivering them. And, I am also continuing to work with Comcast on internet for the rest of the township. I'm trying to work with grants and everything, and I have been in contact with them, and they have added Armada Township to the list of cities and towns that still need assistance that they've been working with the tri-community and tri-county area on, so. And that's it.
Clerk Swayacki?
Yeah, I have to agree with Monica and Jim. This is very disappointing. It should have been taken care of in March. You're the HR person. You should have known that his contract expired July 31st, and I'm very disappointed. He's a great chief, a leader, and like Monica said, those guys over there, they're awesome. And I go over there almost every day. It's-
Thanks. No comment here, and make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:38.
When are we gonna start working together? It's a continual you attacking the departments, attacking the people, attacking the past. Let's work towards the future and what our community